Hey YouTube, Ronan Kazi here. Something a little bit different. Recently, I got a Steam Deck, and kind of want to show it to you and go over some things. My first impressions were. So I saw the news that Valve had the Steam Deck in stock now, and it was easy to get. So I put an order in, and less than 7 days it got sent out. So I was really happy with that. And I proceeded, when I first got it, I looked at my library. I looked at what games it could play and what games it couldn't play. And I want to address some things that a lot of people talk about, but I'm going to give you specific game use or usage things. I play off a laptop, the Division 2, and I have that hooked into an external Bluetooth keyboard and Bluetooth mouse with a bigger monitor. So my setup already is built upon the premise that I have any device that outputs to my keyboard, my mouse, and my monitor. So I have an iPad Pro that I'd like to do that with, and to varying degrees, Stage Manager lets you do that with output to a monitor. With a Samsung tablet that works great in a mode called Dex mode. It is a PC. And now with the Steam Deck, I just plug it in as if it were my laptop. And so I'm playing these games from a box, but my experience is with the same keyboard, the same mouse, and the same monitor. So the idea is, a lot of people say, well, there's a Steam Deck, it's really a PC. It's as much as a PC as an iPad is, or a Samsung tablet is with its various modes. But it's not a Windows PC. And so some of the things we take for granted, for example, I just do my screen capture on Xbox, the built-in Xbox game recorder. It records all my videos on the PC. That's not so easy on the Steam Deck. So I eventually bought a external video recorder from Elgato to record the video, and I run a thing called OBS, which is kind of the thing people use to do that. So this footage you're seeing now is from that setup, the Steam Deck into an Elgato HD60X, which outputs to an external play monitor and to my PC or my laptop, which I can then monitor it and record it and what have you. So when I used their Elgato software, I just had mad issues with the sound. The sound's still not fantastic, but at least it's better than it was. You can hear the dog in there too. So what do I think so far? It's fantastic. I can play the Division 1. I have the Division 1 queued up on my my laptop, but I can offload it now because I can play it on the Steam Deck. And I have other games in my library like I have, and these are not like, these aren't like the, I guess I could get Elden Rings and do that, but like there's still some MMOs that I play, like Guild Wars 2 and Elder Scrolls Online and Star Wars The Old Republic. So those have space on my hard disk, but now they can just be on my Steam Deck. And what's kind of nice is I can reclaim that space off my PC because it's a pain in the ass downloading that 70 gig. Right, that's video space now that I'm finding. So my initial thoughts, it was great. Now, there's some things. So I said, well, I see that you could install WoW. I want to try to install WoW. So in the process of installing battle.net and trying to download and put WoW in there, I somehow ganked my SD card. I don't know if I bumped it or I dropped it. The Steam Deck, I dropped it once. Really embarrassing. And The SD card didn't work, so I was stuck with the, oh, I got the cheap 64 gigabyte MMC version, and I put in a 512. So I had a 512 gigabyte SD card laying around. I have a bunch of docks that I used for the iPad and the Samsung that I had around, and my laptop, and so it works with all my existing stuff, so I didn't have to buy new peripherals. I have stands galore for all these devices, so it's working pretty good. Some of the things that I would like, though, are like a 90-degree USB-C connector to take less of the stress on the wiring when you're plugging in, because if you have it up on a dock, then you have this kind of weird angle that you just imagine is putting stress on it. So I normally, when I'm going to use my Steam Deck, I'm going to put it flat on the table. I plug my hub in, and everything else gets plugged in that. And it is a mess. It's ugly. It's a mess. So one of the things about being portable versus, having a desktop that just can do this stuff, all that wiring is contained inside your desktop. So that's one of the aesthetic values of having a desktop computer. With a laptop or tablets, you're just going to have tons of dongles and wiring everywhere. Small price to pay. The other thing I wanted to think about, during the summer, it's not that we don't have AC, but during the summer, when I used to play on my desktop, it would just get warm. And again, I don't have it overclocked or anything, and I made sure I got, I think I have a AMD Zen 3 2700 or 3700. The one that's not overclockable, so it's 65 watts. But still, that's pumping out heat into a room that I'm in. And so when the M1 chip came out on Apple, I got an iPad M1 because I was like, man, look how powerful it is. I'm eventually going to be doing video stuff, and it doesn't take that much energy. And so I've slowly, I play on a laptop that the power supply is 65 watts, the power supply in my PC is 600 watts. So that's a consideration. So the Steam Deck appealed to me because I'm looking to have low energy devices, I guess. And you can control how much CPU you put into the system. I'll have another video where I go more in depth in how I set up and doing stuff. But I tried to put WoW in it, and it failed miserably. I had the problem with the SD card. So I just wiped the whole thing. So I went to see, I said, let me just start over. So I started over and reset everything up. I eventually could figure out that to reseat my SD card, and it worked, and everything worked. It's the typical, did you restart it? Did you reset it? Did you plug it in, plug it out? That type of troubleshooting, got it working.
Object test negative for viral contamination.
Essentially, I'd say this is a generational thing. Essentially, any of these devices, I'm not going to put a phone in there because the screen real estate size is prohibitive. Unless you have a Samsung Galaxy that you can run DeX, then it's, it's just like having a PC. But if you're doing, office stuff, if you're not using Google Office apps, if you're not using Microsoft 365 apps, it's kind of silly because on a computer, you don't have to back up any of your files that way. Yes, someone's combing through all your stuff. That's a talk for a different day. But essentially, if you use online office apps, all your stuff is in the cloud. It's available to you everywhere, and it's always backed up on their dime. So, number one, any of these devices, a PC, you'll see a lot of these deck reviews like, I replaced my PC. Well, for doing general stuff, any of these devices can there's my dog again, sorry. Any of these devices can replace your PC. The thing is, do you work that way? Do you do your docs in Google Docs or Microsoft Word online? Do you do spreadsheets online? I have for a long time. So for me, I just need one of these devices to get on the internet to have access to files, and then I go from there. So in that fact, can the Steam Deck replace a PC? Sure. You can't play the latest games, but you can play pretty nice games. Can't play the Division 2, but the reason I can't play the Division 2 is because of the anti-cheat stuff, not necessarily because the Steam Deck can't run it. So it's a great device in that respect. Now, if there's other games, if you play those games, you can do emulators and good old games and that kind of stuff, and you have various degrees of success. And Steam is super conservative how they, validate whether games can play or not. So this Division 1, it was like, well, I don't know if it's going to work or not. But really, when you hook up a keyboard and mouse, the main problems, and you're hooking into an external monitor, it runs. So really the limiting factor to the games is, does it have any anti-cheat? If it's a first-person shooter and you're playing competitively, I don't think people are playing on Steam Deck unless, that might be a thing where, what if you gave all the greatest players in the world and you had it all set up on exactly the same Steam Decks, and so it's not a hardware advantage, it's just a person advantage. I mean, that might be, if we're all using, 30 frames per second or whatever. I can hear everyone, my son especially going, how could you play in that? But all that being said, I'll have some more videos on the Steam Deck, but I immediately, I threw an SD card into it. It didn't recognize it. So I'm experienced with Linux somewhat, but eventually I had to format the SD card. So I backed it up to a different hard drive, and then I just formatted it, and now I have room on my Steam Deck. So I think it's a great, for $300. It's a great, they didn't charge me shipping. It's a great deal. Or whatever it was, maybe it was $3.99, not sure. Whatever the cheapest one is, that's one I got. It's a good deal. So I'll have more videos in the future. There's a couple of things that you want to do. So I'll do a video on that. Like there's a couple of things. And, you can go to a desktop mode. But what's really nice is if you can do things in the game mode. So getting Chrome on the game mode, and you can, from the game mode, not switching to desktop, you can browse, which means you can do all the stuff that you need to do. If you have a browser, again, you can go back to those Office apps and everything. That's, I'm walking around, so I apologize now on the audio part here. I'll sit back down. But it's a great little device. It is what it is. When I looked at some of the reviews and everything that people said, those aren't the things that would bother me. There's some quality of life kind of things, like I guess some of the keys don't give you feedback, but it's a pretty fantastic device. You see I'm playing the Division 1 here. And so if you're that kind of person that plays games that you buy once and you don't have a monthly, then this is going to be a great system for you. And those games might be a little long in the tooth, but this can certainly run it. I'll eventually try to benchmark this against my laptop and let you see that. But all in all, it is like having another computer. It's better for gaming than maybe an iPad in that you're playing PC games that you might have already played. It uses all the peripherals. If you have a Bluetooth keyboard, it's going to pair to that. I have Logitech stuff that, it can connect to 3 devices. So I have it one setting for my laptop, one setting for my iPad, and one setting for my Steam Deck. So you can control all your devices with those things. It's pretty slick. So I'm going to try to do that. Try to do some videos on that. I'm also doing my Division 2 videos. I'll keep doing those. But I also realize that's not everyone's favorite game, so I'll see what else I can do. But the Division 2 crowd's been great. Played online with someone the other day, and they saw the videos and were appreciative, and it was humbling again to have people recognize you in game. So this is Ronan Kazi with my initial thoughts on the Steam Deck. I hope you have a great day, YouTube. See you out. gaming. Bye.
I'm impressed, Agent. Locating undamaged bills with original strain virus in that place was like looking for needles in a haystack. But damned if you didn't pull it off.